Hi, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's carrying a baby with me tonight?
Peter Bingham-Pankratz.
And Baby Yoda, Kerry Chandler.
Nice. And welcome back, both of you, from being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't remember the last. I know you were on the Bounty Hunter episode, Kerry. I don't remember the last published episode Peter was on.
Was it the Chaotix one? Wasn't that one?
Oh yeah, that was okay. Yeah, that was the last published. I forget. Or no. Oh yeah, Chaotix got published after Supersonic for Cyber Knuckles.
Okay.
Hey, was somebody down? Two people downloaded it yesterday. So hey, woo.
Nice.
There you go.
And the time you're hearing this, it was not yesterday. But hey, it was probably a month or two because it's going to be in the can for a bit. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different than what we normally do because we're actually going to be covering the Mandalorian Season 2. And there is no Season 1 yet because we haven't recorded it yet, so it'll be there someday. This kind of just was an idea that hit me after I finished Season 2 of Mandalorian. I'm like, I have to talk about this. And then I went and rewatched it, and I still have to talk about it, so that's why we're here. We're going to kind of recap the whole season for you. Only Season 2. There will be spoilers, obviously, but by the time you're hearing this, it's probably March or April, maybe? So you had time. Oh, and before I go too far, Peter, where might people know you from?
Well, if you like good sci-fi, you might have read my novel, The Fifth Civilization. And I've got 2 more out, including one that just came out. So check out. Yeah, one day Mike will read it, and he'll love it, I'm sure.
Hey, I bought it. Does that count? I did buy the first book, finally.
Well, it's a good first step. We're all struggling these days.
Oh, I actually don't even know where it is at the moment. Tiff was the one that
Don't tell me that.
It,
all right. You're just digging that hole deeper.
I have it. And Kerry, where might people know you from?
Hey, you might know me from the Laser Time Facebook group. I also stream video game console repairs and modifications and the occasional video game on Twitch at twitch.tv/KerooXseta, KerooXseta.
All right. So you guys should go look up both of those people and go buy Peter's book. You don't know if you got to read it. We should at least get it and put it somewhere on a shelf and forget about it, like his best friend. But
I'm going to go buy it right after this.
Oh, thanks.
I do mean to one day read it. I don't read, though, so I haven't read a book since... I can't even remember the last time I read a book, so that should tell you something right there.
Not even a Star Wars book?
No, I think the last book I read that I can remember was the Magellan book.
Oh, that I gave you that one.
Yeah, that was a long time. No, maybe Shadows of the Empire. You're right. The last book I read was Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, there you go.
And that was over 5 years ago.
That was a while. All right.
All right. So we're going to be talking about Mandalorian Season 2. To give a very brief, the Mandalorians are a race of people on a planet that got blown up in the Star Wars world. And this guy was a bounty hunter, but now he's not because he's carrying around a baby. All right. Is there anything else we need for Season 2 to start?
Sounds good.
It's about right.
That's about the briefest explanation without spoiling Season 1, which we're going to spoil anyway, but yeah.
Who's listening to this that hasn't seen Season 1, but they've seen Season 2?
Yeah. Who's like, I'm just going to start with the second season. It'll be fine.
I mean, I think you could, though.
Yeah, good.
Season 2 is its own thing, almost. Like, especially with the recaps, you do get the information that you need. But one thing I liked about Season 2 is that it's very, very connected, where it doesn't feel like a Western like Season 1 did. It just feels like a complete plot with only 1 or 2 episodes that you could cut out that don't matter.
And see, that's why I like Season 1 more. So that's fun. We got a fun diversity of opinion there.
I mean, the first episode, Season 2 starts off again, because since it's Star Wars, you have to be on Tatooine because everything happens on this desert planet with no there.
Right.
Yep.
I will never understand the love for Tatooine. I mean, I do understand the love for Tatooine, but I don't understand why Star Wars always has to be on Tatooine. Like, it's a desert planet. Can't there be other desert planets?
Well,
Jakku.
Jakku, which is just Tatooine.
I forgot that existed.
I think that a lot of it is kind of corporate. Of we need to get those Star Wars fans by showing them something they've already seen before.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the Disney Star Wars movies all have to revolve around the original trilogy. Though I guess Episode 1 does go back to Tatooine also.
Right. Yeah.
And Episode 2. Damn. Episode 3 has Tatooine in it too.
I think only Empire just doesn't have any scenes on Tatooine.
That's right. Empire's the only one with nothing on Tatooine.
I mean, Force Awakens wasn't on Tatooine, even though it was Tatooine, and it was A New Hope was made, but...
Technically correct.
Yes, you are right.
I mean, I really like that movie.
I don't think The Last Jedi goes to Tatooine either.
What's that movie? I never heard of it. So,
oh, boy.
I hate that movie.
Oh.
That is Yeah, well, we'll get there.
Let's talk about The Mandalorian.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Like, this first episode, I feel like is just a fan service for the fans in a way.
Right.
Like, because he starts up on some random ass planet with Baby Yoda, and he's trying to watch a bunch of, what the hell are the big green pig called again?
Gamorreans.
Gamorrean. Yeah.
I knew one of you would know. And I didn't really get that when they're just fighting. I mean, it's fine. Like, I mean, I was okay when the guy tries to kill him because he wants his Beskar armor, and then he shoots him with the little rocket thingies. Like, that was all cool.
It made me think of the beginning of Star Wars Bounty Hunter.
I can't remember the beginning of that game.
Where you're in the fighting pit, and you have to get out of the fighting pit so you can, and then get your armor back, get your jetpack back.
Completely got rid of that memory of that scene. That hurt me. It really did. Okay, I mean, it was cool. I mean, it did feel like fan service, though. We're getting Gamorreans, we're getting some random aliens in a bar, and
yeah,
I liked it, and I like how they double cross him because they want his armor.
I like the the kind of the cold open that only has a little, it has to do with the plot, but it's not like the main thing. It's just like it's a tiny little adventure, credits, and then we're into the episode. I like that format.
It doesn't take long.
No.
Oh, and one question that you guys might be able to know. So is Beskar, I have never heard of Beskar until I want to say the Mandalorian show. Is it something that's been around in the fiction for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not as into Star Wars as I should be at times.
So I know it's in the extended. I don't know if the extended universe created it first or not, but I know it's in the EU, the Karen Travis Republic Commando books that I think are the best Star Wars books ever. That kind of really, a lot of the Mandalorian TV show borrows a lot of its lore from those, a lot of its ideas from those books, and in those they talk about their Mandalorian armor being made of Beskar.
Okay.
But it may predate that also.
Okay.
That's more knowledge than I have about it. So
I know it from the Rebels cartoon very, very little, because I'm looking up stuff right now where apparently one when they electrocute everybody was Beskar armor, which I did not realize. So.
Yeah, and it's in the Clone Wars cartoon, I'm pretty sure.
And that is mostly a good cartoon.
This is where I'll be handy to have Wikipedia up, so I'm just gonna I'm gonna have that open just in case.
Yeah, I was just opening the Beskar on Wikipedia too.
There we go.
I mean, and another big fan service this thing does is after he ends up taking care of that guy, and I like how Mando's not really a hero, but not really a villain either. I mean, he's kind of like an anti-hero, I guess, because he doesn't, like, the guy that tries to betray him, he doesn't kill him, he doesn't turn him in, he just ties him up and leaves him there to get killed by whatever the hell living in the shadows.
Right.
Like, that's not a nice way to go, but I like that he's like, I said I wouldn't kill you. I didn't say I wouldn't help. It's a little dark.
A little dark, yeah. He's not, a Luke Skywalker type character.
No, and Luke's still one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Before Luke was drinking blue milk on a random island, he was my favorite.
Yeah.
But
we're talking about the virtue scale, yeah.
And then when you get to Tatooine, like everything with Tatooine, well, I like how, they're talking about some random ass town in the middle of the desert. I'm thinking to myself, why the hell you live in the middle of a desert? Especially the whole planet's a damn desert for some reason.
Right.
But that whole scene, well, they weren't moisture farmers though; they were mining or something.
It's a mining town. Yeah.
Nice.
We're just used to moisture farmers. But like that whole scene where like he gets to the bar, he's waiting for the Mandalorian to show up, and the guy wearing Boba Fett's armor just walks in where it's all broken. I mean, I was so happy for that little moment.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. After that first episode, I was like, oh, are they going to bring back Boba Fett? Can't we do anything new? And then he showed up, and I was like, all right, no, this is cool. I'm fine with this.
Because it's not Boba Fett, and I thought that was interesting how they just had a random guy who essentially was playing the same character from the show Justified.
Yeah.
Timothy Oliphant.
But you know what? He can rock it.
He did good.
Yeah, I thought he was perfect for it because he looked like a kid playing dress up as a Mandalorian. I was like, oh, he's obviously not a real Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Like, that guy's not a Mandalorian. There's no way.
That was a good scene. That was good. Like, I enjoyed all that. I remember hearing a rumor online that the guy who directed this episode, Jon Favreau, wanted to direct Justified but never got to, so this was kind of his way to do it.
Oh,
yeah. Jon Favreau is like one of the, I think he's the main creator of The Mandalorian and the MCU, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it sounded familiar, but I couldn't remember how.
But he's he made Swingers, he made Iron Man,
Yeah.
He plays Happy Hogan in the MCU.
Oh, that's who John. Okay, now I know who he is.
That Jon Favreau is like. It's so crazy because I remember watching Swingers in college, and it never would have occurred to me. Oh, this guy is going to eventually control the best MCU, best Marvel movies, and the best Star Wars movies, or best Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, it's not possible for anyone to have known that.
Yeah, of all the people.
Yeah,
it's so. I mean, it's a good episode. Like I thought it was very entertaining. Like it. I mean, it's just fan service because like shortly after this, you have them fighting with, or not really fighting, but you have the Sand People. You have a freaking. This has got to be the first time we ever seen a crate dragon in live action.
Yeah. And people are talked about like, oh, at the end they show a crate dragon pearl, and that's a reference to KOTOR. And I'm like, the entire episode's a reference to KOTOR. What are you talking about? When they go to kill the crate dragon, I mean, I had just finished playing through that part of KOTOR like a month before I saw this. And it's like a recreation of that whole scene. The way they lure it out and everything.
Didn't you feed it in the game though?
You trick a bantha. You basically you get a bantha. You kill some Tusken Raiders. You steal their bantha, and then you lead the bantha up to the cave to lure it out, where there's landmines for it to explode. So very similar.
Okay, that is very.
And it's like similar shaped cave, and the dragon looks similar, only better now. And then you get the pearl at the end, except the pearl's small enough to fit inside a lightsaber in the game.
Yeah, that was a cool scene, and all of it was for that because Mando wanted to get the Boba Fett's armor back to take it to somebody, or I don't know the hell he planned to do.
Because it's his religion. You're not supposed to wear that armor if you're not a Mandalorian. So it's like desecrating a holy relic in his eyes.
Is Boba Fett a Mandalorian?
No. Boba Fett and Jango Fett both are not Mandalorians. Clone Wars changed. Well, Clone Wars and the comics kind of retcon that they're not Mandalorians.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some good lines in this that we'll get to later that I like, but
I'm pretty sure I forget what episode it is. Somebody discusses that with him.
It's 7 or 8.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Bo-Katan is really pissed off that he's wearing the armor.
Right. You're not a Mandalorian. I never said I was.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot that everything with the crate dragon was an exact reference to KOTOR, but it was just awesome seeing that. I mean, it felt like I was watching like a raid or something in an MMORPG because he climbs up and starts taking them out with a spit. And I rewatched this again recently, and I'm just like, this is still a super freaking good episode.
It's like, Monster Hunter.
This is a great introduction to Season 2. And then that last stinger where after they kill the crate dragon, he's leaving, and you see the guy that plays Jango Fett and all the clone soldiers, standing there in the desert, and he turns around toward the camera and walks off.
Right.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did a good job though. Like I was glad they got him back.
Tamura Morrison, I believe.
Yeah, there you go. He's a New Zealander.
Right. Yeah.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, he is. And I didn't want Boba Fett to come back really, because I just kind of what I love about season 1 was how it's like each episode is mostly its own story with you have this connecting tissue between them, but it's like each episode is an homage to like a different spaghetti western or samurai movie or both.
Right.
And that's what this episode felt like. And then at the end, it's like, oh, there's Boba Fett, and it's kind of like, oh, they're gonna do Boba Fett. But then I feel like the season did a good job with it.
Yeah.
It tells a conclusive story. Like it has a plot that it's trying to get to, and it gets there just fine. So I'm good with it. I mean, episode 2 is the one that I don't like as much. I felt that you could take episode 2 out, and you don't need it. Am I the only one that thought? Did you guys enjoy?
I mean, it's what you call a bottle episode. It's an episode where nothing really of consequence happens except he gets from one planet to another, and that's it. That's the whole episode of episode 2.
Yeah.
But I
did like seeing the X-Wing pilots. I like the idea that in the New Republic, we're in the New Republic era. We're 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Like the idea of like Republic X-Wing fighters just like flying out in deep space patrolling like highway patrolmen, and they're like friendly. They're friendly, but then I love when they ask for his credentials and he sends them, and then a few seconds pass by, and then they drop back and their S-foils open.
That was cool.
Oh, shit.
I like that. He's like, he knew exactly what was coming. They're like, hey, we need a ping. Oh, it's not working. Oh, it's working now. Go away. I mean, the whole episode is that after he does his stuff in Tatooine, he finds this woman that watched over his ship has someone that needs to go to some planet and he can't travel by hyperspace for some reason.
Amy Sedaris back again.
And he's got to travel with this frog lady with a bunch of eggs, and Baby Yoda keeps eating the eggs. I know a lot of people really love
controversy. Yeah,
people love this episode.
Yeah, I thought it was a completely fine episode. I mean, I liked it fine. The controversy over him eating the eggs is just silly.
It was. I'm not sure how much of it was serious, but I feel like there were some people who did take it seriously. Like, oh no, Baby Yoda's committing genocide or
murder.
It wasn't a murder. Genocide would be a race. This is just a family name. This is like you're
killing infants.
You mean
or not even infants yet?
Yeah, infanticide.
There you go.
I want to make a joke.
I'm being as hyperbolic as people on the internet were.
Ovicide. Yeah, I thought it was funny, and I liked the idea of I was like, what if at the end of the episode he just barfs up all the eggs that he ate? But he didn't do that. So
he ate a lot of freaking eggs.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. This episode just didn't grab me. Like they ended up getting attacked by the ship. He crashes in the ice, and you have the whole thing where he's trying to survive, and you have just giant spiders chasing, like a giant spider and lots of baby spiders chasing after him. Like it just didn't do anything for me. Or the naked frog lady in a bath.
So speaking of fan service, that spider, my son and I were sitting there watching the episode, and he goes, "Pause it," and I go, "Okay," and I paused it. And he runs to his room and he comes back with a Star Wars D&D figure of that spider that I bought 12 years ago.
Oh, it's from something then?
I don't know what it's from. It's from the extended universe, but I have that exact spider, exactly the same. And the pose it was doing over its eggs is the pose that it's doing on the figurine. I'll have to send you a picture to post to the Facebook. But
okay.
It's uncanny. I was like, the little details like that are things that make me feel like this is a show made by Star Wars fans.
Oh, yeah.
So much of the new sequels feel like corporate Disney-fied version of Star Wars. The Mandalorian sometimes feels that way, but so much of it feels like these are for real Star Wars fans because they're not drawing attention to it. It's like, we made a monster. No one's going to notice except for one person will notice that this is a thing from, I don't even know what it's from. I don't know, but I have the exact figure.
Yeah, and that's
from a Star Wars D&D campaign I ran.
Yeah, and watching these, what are these, 16 episodes is, for me, I think for most of them, they're much more enjoyable than any of the 3 new movies.
Oh, yeah.
That's not saying a lot.
Even though I do like parts of the, there's some movies I really like, but still, if you do the ratio of enjoyment to hours of screen time, then I think Mandalorian beats it, no question.
100%. I enjoyed all 3 of the new Disney Star Wars movies, or all of them. I mean, I love Rogue One.
Yeah.
As far as the sequel movies go, the 3 big movies, or the 2 plus the 1 Mike's never heard of. I enjoy those fine, but I don't look at them as being good. I'm like, well, they're fine. They're enjoyable enough. I'm not in love with them. But The Mandalorian, I'm like, I never sit down and even some of the episodes we'll talk about a little later that I didn't like as much, I'm like, I come out of it feeling like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
And that includes this episode, even though it's like a little bottle episode, which made me go, oh, was that it for the week? But it's still good.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And I like that they called back to the Prison Break episode from season 1, which is, I think, one of my favorite episodes of the first season.
It's a really good episode.
They made a little callback to that. I'm like, when I saw the X-Wings, I'm like, is he still wanted for that whole Prison Break issue? and then that was what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that was cool. I just didn't like the fact that it just, the spider stuff irritated me and I wanted more connection. Like, the whole point why he's taking the frog is because supposedly her husband has seen Mandalorians on the planet they're at, so that's why he takes this job.
Right. Which turns out to be true. But also, why was she on Tatooine?
Yeah.
Why would a frog lady live on a desert planet?
Because in the Star Wars world, even though there's millions of planets, we're all on Tatooine for some reason.
She better have brought some moisture along with her.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching a lot of science fiction. I've been watching Stargate, so I've come to the conclusion that every planet is just one little thing. So hey,
every planet is a different location in Northern California.
It's a different.
I think in season 1, season 2, it's all a different location in Canada.
Oh yeah,
of SG-1 that I've been watching. Man, SG-1 is really good.
But it's really
Vancouver
good.
Space.
I don't understand why I'm but we'll get there someday. Hopefully not. But okay, chapter 11, the third episode of this really is one where I started getting like super excited because I'm a big Clone Wars fan. I'm a big Rebels fan. I watched both of those shows, and this whole episode felt like a love letter to us that were into those cartoons, because he goes to this planet after he drops off the stupid frog lady. He runs into she sees her husband. You have a dumb little moment, and after all that happens, he's like, oh yeah, go to this bar to see some, Mandalorians are at this bar. And I was also laughing because you see a bunch of Mon Calamari, you see a bunch of Korans, I think they are.
Yeah.
Korans.
And from reading reading the Star Wars Darth Vader comic, which actually talks about the death of that planet in Volume 2, really good comic. There's an episode, by the way, earlier in the show. Yeah. And it does all that. Like, I was just like, I'm excited because they have no planet. Their planet is gone. So it's cool to see all of them just randomly on this sea planet just working.
Do they get along now in the new canon? Because in the old canon, it was like those two races lived on Mon Calamar and didn't like each other.
Right. I mean, they talk about the Clone Wars, but I think it's kind of like they get along, but they don't like each other. I think exactly.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like they coexist, but they're not exactly the most friendly.
I'll say in the pre-Disney EU, they were like two hostile races that both shared a planet and didn't care for each other very much.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that went away because in Clone Wars they joined together to fight the separatists. I can't think of the robots. What the hell are they called?
The Trade Federation.
Yes. I don't know why I just left my mind.
No, I think it is I think they are called the Separatists. So.
Separatists? Okay, and then in the comics, the whole planet gets destroyed by Vader and the Inquisitors.
Okay.
Because they're which is also canon, because they're hiding Jedi on that planet.
Right. That makes sense.
Or a Jedi, or I can't remember. There's something to do with Jedi is hiding on that planet, and he ends up by him not giving himself up. The whole planet ends up getting destroyed, and you find out he wasn't really a Jedi.
Oh yeah.
But again, that's a little thing that most people might not know, but it is canon in the new canon. And to me, it was kind of just cool to see them on this random planet because they don't have a planet.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's like it seems to be a planet with a lot of ocean, at least, if not a fully ocean planet. So
hey, if science fiction taught us anything, if you see one little area, it's the whole planet. If it's
the whole planet is that. Yeah,
I believe that's Star Wars. Star Wars.
That is specifically Star Wars.
Star Trek doesn't do it as bad, right?
No, Star Trek doesn't do it nearly as bad. Star Trek, every planet is just it's Earth.
It's just some
with
white
different color sky
with foreheads that are a little bit different.
Right.
Stargate SG-1, I think, kind of does that too, though. But every planet.
Budgets.
Stargate SG-1 explains it though. Because all the races were slave races seeded by the
the Gould, the Goulad or Gould, whatever.
Gould.
Yeah.
So Mando gets ambushed on the fishing boat.
This was kind of like, why did he like? I like the part where you have them sit in the diner where he ends up talking to the guy, and you have Baby Yoda gets playing with his food. I did laugh at that part.
Yeah.
The little octopus thing bites him, and then
And
then Mando stabs him. But like, why did he trust these Korans? And they take him out in the middle of nowhere in the ocean, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you look in the hole there? Why don't you take a closer look?"
Yeah,
it does stretch credibility a little bit.
It's like, what is he doing?
And he looks down the hole, and they chuck the baby in the hole.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
It created some cool tension, and then made for a really cool entrance for our Mandalorians.
Right.
Yeah, it did work for that. It was really cool how they come in to save him, and you get these three Mandalorians, one being Bo-Katan from the Clone Wars show and Rebels show.
Yeah. Cool. So she's in Rebels also? I haven't seen Rebels.
Pretty sure she's in Rebels also. I'm 95% sure.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah. That was cool. Now she's a member of the Death Watch, right? Because they're like, I thought they were bad guys.
I can't remember if I remember correctly, she's the sister of the woman who was in charge of Mandalore who dies in the Clone Wars.
Right.
But I also don't all remember because there's a bunch of stuff that happens on Mandalore in the cartoon that involves Darth Maul in the end of Clone Wars, and stuff continues going on into Rebels, and someone else takes over Mandalore in Rebels that works for the Empire, and I can't remember where everything goes.
No, yeah, she is a member of the Death Watch. Yeah, she's a member of the Death Watch. Her sister was the one who was the leader of it, and then she was in it too.
God, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, I remember. So I watched Clone Wars like years ago, and I don't remember a lot of this stuff because I watched it with my son, and I'd sometimes be like doing something else while he was watching it. But I remember when we researched for the Bounty Hunter game that I kind of looked it up, and the Death Watch were Jango Fett, his kind of origin on Mandalore is he went to Mandalore to basically, he was hired to take out the Death Watch. He was hired to like fight them, and he got into like a gunfight with the Death Watch. He killed most of the Death Watch people, and then Jedi came down led by Count Dooku and killed all the remaining Death Watch people and all of his people except for him. And then he killed like 6 Jedi with his bare hands, and that's kind of Jango Fett's background. And so Bo-Katan and her group were like a small group of Death Watch that managed to survive.
Okay. That was probably in our Bounty Hunter game too, wasn't it mentioned or something?
Yeah. Well, that was in the comic book that was a tie-in to the game.
Okay.
And then if you get enough secret stuff in the game, then the comic book is unlocked at the end. You can sit there and flip through the comic book on your PlayStation.
Yeah, that game. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just enjoyed all like you said when they show up, it's badass. Like everything with the Mandalorians with this group. I like her. Okay, I thought she was more of a good guy. I didn't realize she's kind of bad, isn't she? Then Bo-Katan.
Well, I don't know if she's. I think it's kind of like you were saying about Mando about being not necessarily good or bad. I think she's more she's not bad, but she would be definitely willing to kill somebody, even an innocent person, for her goals.
So Peter, have you seen Rebels at all?
No.
Oh,
I'm completely. I know some of these characters, but no, I haven't delved into it yet.
You should someday.
It's in the Disney Plus queue.
Same
to start it.
There's not that much of Disney Plus, so hey.
No. And now with the Mandalorian being a hiatus, I'm gonna use even less. But maybe I can start Rebels. Yeah.
The first season is hard.
Yeah.
But after that, it gets away from the very like we're a kid show to we're something more.
Yeah.
So it gets a lot.
That's what
better.
I wanted to know, because I started watching Rebels and I was like, this feels like it's made for 5-year-olds, and I could watch it with my son, but I don't feel like watching it by myself.
It gets way better. The third and fourth season are kind of dark because brief non-spoilery. Admiral Thrawn is in that cartoon.
Oh, I knew that. Yeah.
Okay, and when he shows up I want to say he shows up in season 3. Things go a little, you know how things are going to go with that kind of character, with that character being around.
Yes.
But it gets way better after season 1. Just like with Clone Wars, where season 1 is really rough, and then it gets way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and reading up on Bo-Katan, yeah, she was in the Death Watch. They got ousted from Mandalore by the Jedi. So then she joined with Darth Maul and all them to retake Mandalore, but then she got betrayed, and then she refused to follow the Empire. So she's kind of neutral. I would say she's true neutral in D&D terms.
Okay. I couldn't remember, like my memory of her was she was a good guy kind of or something, but it's been a while.
Well, she rescued Obi-Wan at one point.
Okay.
In Clone Wars. She rescues Obi-Wan from jail. So I think really what it is she's one of those people that she has a goal and her goal is good, but then she'll do whatever she has to do to achieve that goal.
Which I'm sure we're going to see in season 3. So
yeah, I thought at the end of this season we were going to see something. I was going to see her turn on the Mando.
It's coming.
Yeah, I think it's definitely coming.
And the only last thing I want to say about episode 3 is just like, we do have the other part where they go on the ship. And their whole point is they're trying to get on this big ship that is leaving port to take over the ship. They convinced Mandel to join them because they said they're just going to take the weapons, and then finds out she wants the entire ship. It's also when you get reference to her talking about Gideon having something that she wants, which is a dark saber. I don't think they say it in this episode, but it was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and it's pretty clear that's what she's got to be talking about too.
Yeah, if you know your stuff.
If you know about the dark saber, or even if you just remember the end of season 1 where he has that black lightsaber, even if you didn't know what the dark saber was, that's what he's got. I mean, that's the thing we've seen that he has.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that that's what they were going after. Like, that's what she's after, because you need the dark saber to rule Mandalore, essentially, and especially in the new Mandalore, if you're going to be all warriors and not a government.
Right. And I was going to say, this episode is one of the this is the one episode this season directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who I never, before season 1, I never would have thought of as a director.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew her as she's the love interest, whatever, in the Jurassic World.
Yeah.
She's the white savior in The Help, and that's all I knew her from.
The girl who can run from a dinosaur in high heels.
She's got a good career ahead of her. Yeah. I was just gonna say, I know we have to move on, but I always appreciate a good Imperial officer, and I feel like this had a great Titus Welliver, who is a good character actor, and he does a good job, and it's everything I want. Slimy, and he is defiant, and then he kills his own men, things like that. That's great. It's a great officer.
Yeah, he was really good Imperial officer.
Yeah.
He shoots them real fast too. He's like, "Oh, they're gonna oh, I understand." Boom, boom. Right? We need a chance to think about it.
You gotta have those things planned out.
And the teeth thing, where he bites his teeth and then electrocutes himself. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Good.
I got to make another Stargate SG-1 reference because this reminded me of it. I was just watching an episode in season 2 of Stargate where they bring this kid along, and he has they're like, he was missing 2 front teeth, and he's not missing teeth, and they check his teeth, and he tries to bite down after they sedate him before he realizes he had he's like, I want to see the sky. Can I see the sky, Dad? They're like, oh, we'll wait till after. They put some poison in his teeth that would destroy the entire planet and kill everyone. And I'm just like, man, this show is dark.
Yeah.
Oh. And that's what I was thinking of the second time I watched this episode, where I'm like, hey, this isn't nearly as bad. He just kills himself. But
right.
Oh, Stargate gets dark. All right, and then, but you are right, Peter. He was a great Imperial officer. He was just, and I love all the Imperials in this that you see are slimy as hell and just bad.
There's another
good
one Imperial officers in this show. Definitely.
Yeah, there's more coming up. Yeah,
and I love the fact because the Imperial, if you think about what happened, after Return of the Jedi, you have the Death Star gets blown up. You have Palpatine get thrown down a shaft and somehow get resurrected 30 years later. But hey, and then you have the Empire's falling apart. Vader's gone. I mean, but they're still just fine. They're living around just fine.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're the worst of them have survived, and now they're showing it.
I always thought that made a lot of sense, in the expanded universe novels and stuff too, where, 10, 15, even, 20 years after the war, you still have areas where you have Moffs basically ruling as warlords, and everything's still very Imperial because it's a galaxy.
Yeah.
There's got to be billions of planets. And so, they're in who knows how many quintillions of people, right? So it makes sense the New Republic would not be able to control certain areas.
Right, exactly.
So I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It would take a long time for the Empire to really be replaced from what they were, too.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen overnight. It'd be it'd be years at least, and we show that that's true.
And in the expanded universe, which I've read a bunch, I've read 38 Star Wars books.
Damn.
Not to brag. None of them are canon now. None of them.
Right.
Right. They were all decanonized by Disney. But in those books, the last set of books of those I read were set during the time period that these new Star Wars sequels would be set during. And the new Star Wars sequels, Force Awakens borrowed a little bit of stuff from them. And then, it all kind of went off from there. But in those, they're taking place, 35 years after Return of the Jedi. And in that series, the New Republic is falling apart. And the Imperial remnant and the New Republic basically have banded together to create kind of a new coalition. And it's very unstable. It's not very it's stable, but it's tense. But it's an interesting idea that these rebels wouldn't necessarily be able to just recreate the old Republic.
Yeah, because everybody's dead.
Yeah,
that whole government was destroyed completely in the prequels at the end of it.
It'd be it's like the Soviet Union, the Bolsheviks taking over and getting rid of the old regime, things like that.
Yeah,
history. In real life, you don't leave when you take over, you don't leave remnants. You get rid of everyone.
If you're smart, smart about it.
Or if you have someone that tries to do treason, you don't just throw him in jail and let him write a book. You kill him, and then you save the problem that happens 5 years later. But
We should also mention that Katie Sakhoff is really good as Bo-Katan, I think.
Yeah, she is really good.
I know she's kind of the divisive actress because like some, people that are fans of the new Battlestar, like basically everyone I know that likes that show, they either really like her as Starbuck or they hate her as Starbuck. But I think she's really good as Bo-Katan.
I thought she was fine. Is she the voice of Bo-Katan in Rebels and stuff too, I think?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw that somewhere, but I did not check my information.
You didn't check your Wikipedia? Makes sense.
Didn't care enough at the moment. I could. I have it pulled up, but...
No, I don't think it doesn't say, actually. But
I'd have to look farther than I want to look then.
There you go.
All right, so the next episode is one that... So you have the next episode, he goes back to that planet because his ship is all destroyed from... the second episode. He got it somewhat repaired for not very much money by the Mon Calamari, and then he goes to... God, I forget the name of that planet.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, it's a planet from the first season where like a lot of episodes take place.
Navarro.
Another like Tatooine type planet almost. But
yes, not another Tatooine-like planet. It's not quite desert. It's more mountainous planet. This
felt like a complete throwback to season 1 because you have a lot of the characters come back. You have God, what is his name? Apollo Creed comes back in this episode too. So you have him,
Carl Weathers, and he directed it. He directed this episode too.
I love
Grief Karga.
I love the memes that came out of that when they first had him in the last year in the first season, where the memes of him throwing 3 pucks, bring me these heads, and it was the guy from Rocky IV, the Gator, and Predator, and I'm just like, that's funny.
I love Carl Weathers so much. I'm a big Rocky fan. I'm a fan of the whole series and Predator and all that stuff. I love Carl Weathers since I was a kid, and it's him in Arrested Development too, playing himself, right?
Oh, right. He really likes soup.
Yeah, you got yourself a stew.
Stew. That's what it is.
Yeah, I like Carl Weathers a lot. I love his character on this. I loved him in season 1, and like you were saying, this one feeling like a throwback to season 1. I prefer season 1, so I like these episodes that felt like they were calling back to season 1 a little bit.
This was a good episode where you have the blue guy who he arrested in the first episode of Mandalorian, who's working for Apollo Creed now. You have Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, who now is working for him as like the marshal of the town. I like her character. I just don't like her. But
yeah, I don't. I usually try to separate the person from the role, but sometimes I can't. And for her, every time I see her on screen, I just think about her. Yeah.
It bugs me. I'm like, I really liked her, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it wouldn't be as bad maybe if she wasn't actively doing it while her show was on.
Right.
I mean, be like Kevin Sorbo
in the past. Wait, to be like, okay, well, maybe she's changed, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin Sorbo waited 20 years after Hercules was over, and then I guess maybe social media didn't exist, and then I found out he's not I don't like him anymore. But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does bug me that she's very open about some of her ideas and on the internet.
And it's whatever. I don't think she's like the greatest actress either. So I'm like, I think I like the character in general. I like the idea of a former drop trooper who's disillusioned with the Republic, but still very anti-imperial, and who wants to kind of be like outside the law, but also has like these like convictions of helping people and stuff. And I like the idea of her becoming a marshal.
It makes sense. I mean,
I like that. I like the idea of the marshals.
Right.
Like the drop troopers would have seen makes sense that you would be disillusioned because that had to have been a terrible thing to witness.
Right. And I like the idea of the marshals in general, that the New Republic doesn't really control anything outside the core systems. So they deputize people out in the outer rims to kind of be the law, which is very, like the American, like Wild West. It's like, it's the same, which is what they're doing. And I mean, my favorite thing with The Mandalorian is when it's making homages to spaghetti westerns and samurai movies. And I feel like that's what that is very much. So I like it.
Oh, and then the other thing I should say about this episode, like this whole episode is them trying to go and raid this one little Imperial base that's still on this island, or on the island, planet. It feels like an island. And I love how lava has played such a big part in this planet. And like that whole them going there, like it's all like it feels like just another random little thing. Okay, we're gonna go blow up this Imperial base, but it also connects into the series. So this is when you find out that they were cloning Baby Yoda's blood from the first season, and they were trying to make. And I love how they're like, we have people with a high M count. I'm like, thank you, thank you for doing that.
We're not going to say the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was obvious, and I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, they revealed that's what it was. I'm like, isn't that? But I thought that was obviously what they were doing, right? Like, you have a little baby who obviously has force powers. You had Imperial guys draining his blood in the first season. That wasn't it clear that's what they were doing? But so I was like, it felt a little like we already knew this, and it's just being confirmed. But I don't know.
Yeah, there wasn't many options for like would be a bigger reveal than that, or would be
so.
Yeah,
exactly. So it was anticlimactic to me. I was like, they didn't even really need to do that. Like, it wasn't necessary. Like, I guess it was necessary for the Mandalorian to know that. For what's his name? Jardin?
Dinjar? I don't know. Mando, that's his name.
Yeah, Mando. Mando needed to know that because even though he's living 5 years after Return of the Jedi, he's almost never heard of Jedi. So he needed to know some of the stuff.
Yeah. Which I like that, and I think it also makes perfect sense that they don't know, because like when you see what the Empire does, I mean, it's not that hard. You think about like history where you have a dictatorship take over, they just erase previous history of things and if you talk about it, they shoot you. So problem gets solved real fast. People are going to shut up.
Yeah, so maybe, but I mean, the thing is like the history of Mandalore has so much to do with the Jedi and the Sith, like both using them for their own means.
Yeah, but he's not from Mandalore. He was a kid that was taken during the Clone Wars.
Raised by a cult.
Yeah, so it makes sense that they left out the not good parts about their history.
That's true.
Plus, I mean, if we learn anything about cults, I mean, a cult leader will teach a person to only listen to them. Don't look at all the evidence. Just listen to me. Everyone is lying. Even when I contradict myself, I'm telling you the truth. I think
I can buy that. I think I can buy that for Mando. I do think I don't usually buy the whole no one's heard of the Jedi thing in Star Wars in general, just because of information. I mean, they have the internet. They have like the super internet, and it would be impossible for Jedi would be something people had heard of, I feel like. But
I consider they had a freaking government. Yeah,
that's one problem I had with it with this show since the beginning. I'm like, no one's kind of saying this little baby looks a lot like the Jedi leader who was like head of the government 20 years ago, or like, he was like, it would also, it's another thing. It's kind of the Demolition Man,
paradox, right? Like Demolition Man is a really cool movie, and then you find out that it's all taking place like 10 years in the future. And it's like, wait, no, that isn't. No, they wouldn't forget all of culture in 10 years. Right, and it's the same thing. If this was taking place 500 years after Return of the Jedi, I'd 100% buy that no one's ever heard of a Jedi.
Yeah. But it's like if something happened in 2016 or 2015, we're like, oh, who is that? Yeah. I don't remember that guy.
Yeah, exactly. We don't remember that there were space wizards with laser swords.
Yeah.
But still, I like that. I felt like from the second episode of the series, it was clear, the Empire or the remnants of the Empire, or whatever, want to clone Baby Yoda so they can create like Sith super soldiers. Cool. Yeah. That's a good overarching plot to just occasionally check in on for the series.
Yeah.
And so I was happy with this episode, and I really liked the chase at the end with the speeder bikes and the stormtroopers just flying over the cliff on the speeder bikes and all that. It was very neat.
Oh, yeah. That was cool. And were those like, wasn't there a swoop bike in this episode too, that from Shadows of the Empire, or were those in other? I feel like I saw a swoop bike.
Yeah,
there was.
It is, yeah. Okay. But they just call them speeder bikes. They don't call them swoop bikes anymore. Fine. I feel like
nobody's a swoop gang from Shadows of the Empire. It's okay.
Yes, but it's definitely, we've seen in Star Wars several times, we've seen what are very clearly swoop bikes, but no one calls them that anymore. I feel like that got confined to Shadows of the Empire.
I love Shadows of the Empire.
I have little swoop bike D&D figure or Micro Machine figures.
Yeah. Oh sure, man, those are blasts from the past.
I still have all my old Micro Machines in my parents' house.
I have them here. I give them to my son, so I find little Star Wars Micro Machines all over the house all the time. Star Wars and Star Trek.
Nice.
And then kind of anything else to mention. This episode just kind of like I mean, that's the main part, and then other than them getting chased, and I thought that was all cool, and it's a good episode.
Yeah.
And then the ending, I think this is is this the ending of the episode where they end up, because they place a tracker on Mando's ship in the third episode, and then I want to say in the very end of this episode, you see a brief part where Moff Gideon is talking to the Dark Trooper saying, "We'll be ready."
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got giddy when I saw that. Like, I thought you just see these black stormtrooper robot looking thingies in the wall, and I'm just like, "Oh, they're Dark Troopers!" And I texted Peter. I'm like, "Did you see?"
I saw it.
Sure enough.
I want to come back and talk about those Dark Troopers when we get to episode 8.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do that.
I mean, I
got thought.
I was because I was just so excited, and then episode, God, because the window I'm looking at. Oh yeah, episode 5, which is where they first. It's called the Jedi, which obviously what they're going to talk about. This was, I think, a good one too. I mean, this is where you get Ahsoka first gets introduced in the live action, and Mando meets his first Jedi, and because he was sent by Bo-Katan to go to this planet to go find a Jedi because he's trying to find someone to take Baby Yoda. And I thought this episode does such a good job of, like, I know it's really just a pilot for her own show, essentially, what this episode was.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that. Rosario Dawson did a fine job playing Ahsoka. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Everything was really, I felt good. Like in this episode, like you have this town where this woman is running this town, and she's threatening to kill people or going to kill everyone. The planet's all destroyed except for her little area has water and trees, and you got people in freaking like standing cage where they keep getting shocked.
Yeah,
like, it's brutal looking.
I don't know if you watch Star Trek Discovery, but
I have not.
That's the thing in Star Trek Discovery is they go to the Dark Mirror universe from the original Star Trek.
Oh,
well, that's been in all the Star Trek series at this point.
Yeah, like one episode here and there.
Right,
yeah.
And they go to that. Well, that's like a major plot point of the series. And in the second season, they go to that universe for a while. And the Terran Empire has those like cages where they keep people to like torment them.
Do they all have
electric shocks? And that's what it made me think of was that. I liked this episode mostly. I had like one gripe about it, and that's the fight scene at the end.
Oh, with Ahsoka and whoever the hell her name is.
Elsbeth. Yeah, so the actress they hire for Elsbeth, she's a like half Indonesian, half British, I think, woman who is a stunt woman who's trained in traditional Indonesian martial arts, specifically spear fighting. So they brought in an expert, or I don't know if she's an expert, but someone who knows how to fight with spears, right? And who's a stunt woman. And then I don't know if they had Rosario Dawson just do her own stunts or what, but the fight was very underwhelming then. Like I saw it, this got spoiled for me on Twitter because someone retweeted her talking about how honored she was to get to fight Ahsoka. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. And I started researching her and I'm like, oh, she's like really like into this martial arts. This is going to be an awesome fight scene. We're going to have like something really awesome. And then it was just like it felt like one of those fight scenes where one person's a stunt person and the other person is an actor who has no stunt training. To me, it was very restrained. I thought it would have been, we could have had a really cool fight scene.
It was kind of basic. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I do know I see what you're coming from.
Yeah, especially because Ahsoka, her like fighting style is Eskrima, which is also a Southeast Asian fighting style. And it would have been kind of cool to see those two things. Like, I don't know. I'm a little bit of a martial arts nerd, I guess. So it's a part of it, but
I mean,
I thought it'd be really cool. And it's funny because there is a stunt woman who mocaps Ahsoka in the new season of Clone Wars. And I'm like, why don't they just let her do it? You know, but
I mean, this whole point of the episode, they probably ran out of budget or something.
That may be.
That happens a lot, I feel. Like, I mean, I enjoyed this episode. This is also where you get Baby Yoda's name for the first time as Grogu.
Yeah. How do we feel about Grogu?
It's a Star Wars name. I can't imagine. It's a very neutral arrangement of syllables to me. So,
I mean, we've had Yoda and Yodel. Is that the female Yoda? Yaddle. We've had Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu now. So I guess it works. It fits.
I don't really have an opinion either way. When I heard it, I was like, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate it, but most people will probably still call him Baby Yoda. So.
I'm still just gonna call him Baby Yoda just to people.
I call him Grogu now more of the time, but I thought it was just cool they gave him a name finally instead of just a child or Baby Yoda. As I'll call him.
I mean, he deserved a name for sure.
Plus, easy to market that way, and you sell toys.
We get a reference to Grand Admiral Thrawn in this episode.
We do.
That was really exciting because skip ahead 2 minutes if you want to hear the end of. Well, in Rebels, stuff happens. I won't go and spoil it, but I will say stuff happens where he's not dead at the end of Rebels.
Right,
Sure.
and they brought him out of non-canon because he was a big favorite among the EU crowd. Because he's
Heir of the Empire.
Yeah, he's a very sympathetic. Well, he's a very sympathetic villain in the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a wise decision on Disney's part to revive him.
Yeah, agree.
Because they can do more with him now, and I think people will like it.
I agree. I really. It gave a lot of people hope that we might see some version of the Thrawn trilogy eventually too.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for that too.
Oh, yeah. And in Rebels, they do explain why he's not around during any of the regular movies and why where they do something to keep him alive, but to take him out of why he's not there.
Yeah, in the EU, one of the big things they say is that it's a lot of the Empire is very racist against non-humans.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why you never see non-human officers. And he was like the only high-ranking non-human officer in the Empire, but like racial politics kept him from being in charge of the Battle of Endor. And that's why the Empire lost the Battle of Endor, is because Thrawn wasn't there.
Yeah.
Which is not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, watch Rebels and you'll see, they do a good job with Thrawn.
That's cool. So I like that. I like the idea that she's like Elsbeth is like a protege of his.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if they're going to do that for a new series or if there's going to be season 3 that Thrawn's going to come in. I don't know.
I think new series. I think Ahsoka's show is going to lead into her, because things that happen in Rebels with Ahsoka can lead to her hunting Thrawn because she's around in Rebels too.
Okay.
And as far as I liked Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. At first, I was like, well, no, that's not right, because Ahsoka would be like 45, and Rosario Dawson's got to be. Oh no, you're right.
Oh,
I've just been seeing her in movies for so long. I thought she was like 20 something.
I can give you information that would fit that, but you might not want me to say it.
No, that's all right.
Okay, I'll just say in very unspoilery, in Rebels, stuff happens that can explain a little bit of that.
Well, I'd be fine if her just being around because she's around. I mean, it makes sense that some Jedi would have escaped the Great Purge, and she'd be about Rosario Dawson's age now. It's been about 30 years since Clone Wars, so she'd be maybe 10 years older than Rosario Dawson at most.
They explain things in Rebels.
All right, so I'll watch.
Watch Rebels.
All right, I'll watch Rebels. I like the siege of the town while Ahsoka and Elsbeth are fighting, and Mando goes in. I thought that was good.
He kicks ass. I like when you get to see him be actiony and kill things and take out people. It gets cool to see.
Yeah, and it felt very like samurai movie spaghetti western of the lone stranger comes and rescues the town from the evil marshal kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And which I like. I like it when the show is doing that kind of stuff.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's a good way to put it. I just really enjoyed this episode. I just thought it was just really good. And then like the last 3 is where it's kind of like the 3-part finale of this year of the season, because it's all connected, which I liked. I love stuff like that. I mean, when you see the title episode 6, I knew bad things were going to happen. It's called The Tragedy. I'm like, well, this ain't going to end well.
Yeah, I called the ending of this episode like as soon as it started. I'm like, oh, okay. So he's going to take him to that planet and Moff Gideon's going to kidnap him. Cool.
Because, we should say Ahsoka won't train him because he has an attachment, and she won't train another Jedi who has attachments, which I feel like a reference to Darth Vader and Anakin.
I think that makes sense from her point of view.
So she tells him to go to this temple on this random planet, and there's a seeing stone or some kind of stone where he can then communicate with hopefully a Jedi will find him is the idea.
Yeah, it'll like amplify through the Force, and Jedi throughout the galaxy will be able to detect him, which feels like, but wouldn't bad Jedi like Sith also be able to?
Well, all the Sith are pretty much dead at this point.
As far as she knows.
She's killed a number of Inquisitors at this point.
That makes sense.
She's also been involved with Darth Maul. She's been involved with fight, she's been very involved with a lot of things up to this point.
I'm gonna say, so we're on episode 6, The Tragedy.
Yes.
My least favorite episode of the whole series, possibly.
Okay, I will comment that opinion in 1 second. Do you know why Ahsoka's lightsabers are not normal colors?
No.
Well, I'll put on my nerd glasses here. The reason why they're different colors is because she got them from Inquisitors that she killed when she didn't have any lightsabers, and when the Kyber crystal went back from being red to becoming pure, it becomes silver. That's why she has 2 silver lightsabers.
Ooh, okay. I was wondering why she didn't have the yellow ones that she has in Clone Wars. There you go.
She gives them up in Clone Wars.
Okay.
Stuff happens, and she says, "Fuck you."
Yeah, I haven't finished Clone Wars, and I haven't seen Rebels, but that was cool. I was like, okay, I guess she had to make some new lightsabers. Cool.
She killed people to get them.
Fair.
Because in Rebels they talk about it where some of the Sith, or not Sith, some of the Jedi who returned to the dark side became Inquisitors instead of being murdered. And I think there's less than 20 of them. I think there's even less than that. And the Darth Vader comic explains what happens to a lot of them. The Star Wars Jedi game with Cal that came out recently explains what happens to a couple of them.
Fallen Order, yeah.
Yeah, Fallen Order. So I mean, there's only so many, and by the time we get to where we are, they're all dead.
Yeah. They earn their fate.
So Peter, what did you think of the beginning of the tragedy episode?
I mean, are we on have we gotten to the martial arts stuff yet? Because, I mean, it was a pretty action-packed episode for me. It wasn't my favorite either.
It was mine, almost. Almost.
I do enjoy seeing Boba Fett in action. And I think, but we've already, for the past however many episodes, we've already seen a Mandalorian in action. So I don't know. I wasn't like giddy with glee to see it.
And when Boba Fett comes up, he starts beating people with that Tusken Raider staff, and then finally when he gets his armor. Oh, I mean, I should say
stick
is my favorite character in Star Wars. Well, one of my favorites, probably top 5 or top 3. So when I get to see him be cool, I'm so happy.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing is it felt like with this. So I was excited for this one because I was like, okay, we're going to see Boba Fett in action, cool. And they brought back Ming-Na Wen, who I have been in love with since she was on ER back in the early 90s, right? So, and I'm like, and she's great in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she knows a little kung fu, so this could be pretty cool. And then it felt really like kind of silly, like stormtroopers just running up a hill, just meat grinder-ish, and then they've got guns, but no, we're going to run up and try to, I don't know, I guess beat Boba Fett in the face with our gun rather than shoot at him. And it felt just like, it really, sometimes the show is great and sometimes the show is fine, but feels like a above average episode of Xena, Warrior Princess. And this was the most Xena Warrior Princess action scene they've ever had. I felt like I was not a fan. And they also made the Mandalorian do stupid stuff for plot.
Okay,
like, take off that rocket pack. Oh no, the Empire's here. You better run up the mountain and leave the rocket pack sitting on the ground. No need to put on the rocket pack and fly up to the top of the mountain. Just run up the mountain slowly so that Grogu can be kidnapped and leave your rocket pack on the ground.
And knock himself out when you try to get Grogu the second time.
It fell. Just keep running into the energy field. It'll break eventually. Just keep running into it. No problem.
I love this episode, but it had everything. I had no problem with it. I didn't care. I'm like, hey, you get Mando out. I got Boba Fett doing something cool for the first time ever in live action.
That's true.
Yes.
So I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I got to see him take out 2 cruisers. I got to see him gun down freaking stormtroopers. Oh, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but on the back of his jetpack in this show, you can see where Luke slashed him across the back.
Yeah, I read about that later. That is awesome. I like the attention to detail there. I like that the armor didn't quite fit him anymore.
Because he's heavier? Yeah, that was great.
Because he's exactly. So it was very like lots of gaps now.
I like
but
that.
But it's okay because the stormtroopers aren't even going to try to shoot him. They're going to run up and get beaten to death anyway, so he doesn't really need the armor.
That was still cool. So brutal.
Yeah. I did love when he uses his rocket to blow up the ship, blow up one of the transports that's leaving, and then he was like, I was aiming for the other one. Yeah,
that was funny.
I do think that was funny. And I think it's far time we got to see what that rocket on his jetpack does. So
yeah.
It makes kids have a choking hazard and not get created, I thought.
Yeah, well, don't give it to your 7-year-old.
Yeah, but no, I like those things. I like the what's his name as Boba Fett. I think he does a good job. Does a good job as Fett.
Yeah, no, I think it's great that they got him back. And I was looking at his face in this too. Like, he's got all these scars on him. Like, I'm assuming a lot of that's from when he climbed out of the Scarlet Pit, which we haven't seen yet.
Right.
God, I can't wait till we get all of that information of how he survived, and I hope they do that at some point.
If we never did it, Mike, but the Dark Empire comic, it doesn't talk about that exactly, but it does have Boba Fett's reappearance in that. And I know it's not canon now, but it's a nice alternate way of reintroducing him to the Star Wars universe.
Okay. Well, I just don't know when exactly, but I do it.
I think you'd like Dark Empire. You at least like the first one, and it does give you enough Boba Fett action in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with them destroying the Razor Crest. It felt like it was just hey kids, y'all like Slave One, don't you? Isn't Slave One a cool ship that you've seen a bunch of times? Well, now we're going to make you have to be a Slave One.
Hey, this kid was happy. This 32-year-old kid was very happy that they got to drive in Slave One. Fuck the Razor Crest. I want my old slave. So I was happy. I had no complaint.
I mean, I was a little bit, but I was sad about the Razor Crest being destroyed.
The only part that bothered me about the Razor Crest getting destroyed is I think the Razor Crest is in Rise of Skywalker, or that was the last movie called, Rise of Skywalker?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think the Razor Crest is in that scene when all the ships show up. So that a little bit like, well, but at the same time, I'm like, he's going to get a ship.
I mean, I figure it's just a class of ship. There's millions of them.
Yeah, but it was I thought it was a cool reference to Mandalorian, which it might not have been because, Rise of Skywalker had nothing to do with anything else. So who knows?
The Disney movies are almost nothing but references, so I'm sure it was.
This is just an aside, but I remember the old story of how Boba Fett got Slave One was that he saw like a ship, and it was whatever class of ship that Slave One was, it was like all docked together, and he liked it so much he destroyed the other ones so that his ship would be the only one of that to exist.
Well, in the current, I don't know if it's canon, but in Star Wars Bounty Hunter for the PS2, Jango Fett steals it to get away from the prison planet.
Oh God, is that what it was? I remember nothing of that game, by the way.
The prison break episode, your ship is destroyed, and so you have to travel across the planet, and then steal those Slave One from the prison.
Interesting.
So but I don't know if it's I don't think the game is canon. I think the comic is canon, but I don't think the game is. But
nothing is canon from that time.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Only the movies and the TV shows, or only Rebels, Clone Wars, the movies were the only thing that stayed canon when Disney did their thing. No,
yeah, you're right. They just brought back some of the stuff from the comic in Clone Wars. They brought back
they're just rebuilding stuff.
Muriel and Jango. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And the other thing to mention about this episode is also where he tells, because he ends up making a deal with Boba Fett, makes a deal with Mando saying, hey, you gave me my armor back. I will help you get the kid back. I'm with you till the kid is in your safety. And also, like, when they do that whole chain code, he's like, it was my father's armor, and now it is mine, and talks about that little thing. I like that.
Yeah, I've always kind of wondered, because the armor is different looking, but I guess he just painted it. I've always wondered, did Boba Fett get his own armor at some point? And then what happened to Jango Fett's armor? But I guess, he just painted Jango Fett's armor.
Well, the first part had to be when he cleaned out his father's head out of the helmet when he first got it.
Out.
My God, that part, man.
But so this implies that little 8-year-old Boba hung out on Geonosis after the Battle of Geonosis and took all the armor off his father's corpse, stuck it in a bag or something, and then got to Slave One and escaped.
He does show up in Rebels.
Yeah, I mean, no, I figure he escaped, but it's kind of funny to think of this little kid scooping his dad's skull out of the helmet and then getting it to the ship and escaping during the battle.
Pretty bad. I've always thought about that, man, this got dark real fast. Because that last scene you see of him in that movie is him holding up the helmet with his dad after his dad just getting sliced, and he would have gotten cauterized. So I feel like it would have been cauterized inside the helmet.
I love just the fan edit of he picks up that helmet and then the head falls out.
I've never seen that.
Yeah,
that's even worse.
Yeah, I like the very end of this episode where we find out that we're going to get more Bo Burnham. Is it?
That's the last episode. We're not there yet.
Well, it's at the end of this one.
Well, we find out he's coming with them.
Right. At the end of this episode, he tells Cara Dune, "Hey, we need to break this guy out of prison."
Oh, that's what you're talking about. Sorry, I thought you meant something else.
It shows a mugshot, and I'm like, ooh, because I really like Mr. Space Boston.
Bill Barr.
Yeah. Oh, Bill Barr. I say Bo Burnham. Bill Barr. Bill
I was
Burr.
going to say, but
Bill
I thought
Burr.
it was funnier. I thought it was funnier the way it was because I'm trying to imagine Bo Burnham doing what Bill Burr is doing.
Yeah, Bill Burr, not Bill Barr either.
There's too many people with double B's. Let's get rid of them.
You feel like a comic book or something where everyone has the last name and the first name, the same letter.
It's called alliteration.
Yeah, Miggs Mayfield, played by Bill Burr. There you go.
And then this episode ends. Oh, it's just the part where we forgot to mention this. There's this really stupid line that I have to talk about in the episode before this when the rebel pilot shows up to the planet with the fake tattooing from the first season and talks to Kerry and he's like, "You're from Alderaan, right?" She's like, "Yeah." Like, did you lose anyone? And I'm just like, what the fuck?
There were 20 billion people on Alderaan.
Like, you blew up the planet. No, my whole family left before the Death Star lined up that laser cannon. You heard the alarm was going. Laser cannon lined up. Please evacuate. Like, come on now, people.
It was so pointless.
Yeah.
It's completely. You don't have to make everything a reference to the original trilogy. She can just be a person.
I mean, I was okay with her being Alderaan. I just didn't understand. Like, I mean, it felt like, was it a reference to be like, this guy is really that stupid? I don't think that's what they were going for, but that's all I took it. Like, are you that dumb?
I think it was a reference to the audience being that stupid. They're like, if we say Alderaan, there's going to be people who've never seen Star Wars that only watch Mandalorian who don't know what Alderaan is. So we need to make sure we let the audience know that everybody died in Alderaan, or that a lot of people died in Alderaan.
Yeah, there was other ways to write it. You could have said, like, "I'm sorry."
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
And then people would have...
Like, your whole planet was destroyed, but did you lose anyone? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it just needed to be worked over a few more times in the script room.
Yeah.
It's one of my... Every time I see it, I laugh. I saw it again when I'm like, oh, my God, this is stupid and funny to me at the same time.
Before we leave the tragedy, I want to point out this episode is directed by Robert Rodriguez.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just from the scene of him playing with the doll, right? Where he's playing the guitar for it. I mean, not in the show, but in the YouTube thing I saw.
I haven't seen that. Yeah. Where he's sitting there playing his guitar while the Baby Yoda dances.
Yeah, because it's probably the only episode he directed, right? I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's the only one he directed. I don't think he directed any in the first season.
Okay. That's what I was getting at, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. All right, and then you get into the next two episodes. Well, the next one is a prison break. Or not really prison break. This is a fucking good episode, though.
This was my favorite episode of the entire series. I loved this episode.
It was. I agree.
So he goes... Oh, you go, Peter.
I don't know if... I wanted to make sure I got this in. If anyone's seen... This movie, when they're transporting the stuff, was a direct reference to two other movies called The Wages of Fear and Sorcerer, where a bunch of lowlifes in Mexico have to transport nitroglycerin in trucks from one mining company to another, and it's like the slightest bump will blow up their vehicle. And they're really good movies. You should definitely check them out if you find them. But this was direct reference to that, and I got so excited to see it because I really love both those films. And the idea of transporting something where the slightest error will send you to a fireball was just perfect for me.
That's a plot point of John Wayne's Rooster Cogburn as well.
Oh, really?
Wagon full of nitroglycerin will explode if it gets jostled too hard.
Then that's also reference to Wages of Fear.
Oh, I bet.
So I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fine episode. Like I should say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Like I like how like the whole part is so Cara Dune became a marshal or working for the government now, New Republic. That doesn't really last long, right? Eventually.
Say what?
Doesn't the New Republic get destroyed?
Oh, I mean,
Later?
According to the new movies.
In the new movies, well, they blow up whatever headquarters was in The Force Awakens. But the New Republic wasn't destroyed. They just didn't come to the aid of. They're just taking a really long time to come to the aid of the Resistance, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing with the new Star Wars movies is they didn't. Yeah. I guess they felt like we wouldn't be able to sympathize with the government, so they're like, no, it's the Resistance again, just like in the first series. Remember, everything old is new again. And but there was a New Republic, and the whatever the Death Star 3.0 blows it up. Yeah, in Force Awakens.
I don't even remember what the name of the planet was, but anyway, yeah.
Doesn't matter. matter.
And in the EU, the New Republic is on Coruscant.
Yeah,
which makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I liked it. I liked the prison planet that Bill Burr is working on, where they're like dismantling old Imperial stuff.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's all droid guards,
which works for me. I thought that was like, I mean, I don't like that actor normally. Like, I don't know him much, but I didn't really care for him in the first season. But this I actually enjoyed him in.
He's, in real life, he's the same as his character. So
yeah, in real life, I don't know how I feel about him as like a person, but I always find him very funny.
Yeah,
whenever he's on anything, and I like somebody updated Wikipedia and took a screenshot before it got fixed that showed his home planet is Space Boston.
That's cool.
They should just run with that. They should.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is if all the Imperial people can have British accents except for Giancarlo Esposito, then let this dude be from a place of a Boston accent. Why not?
Right. Yeah.
Why not? I liked him a lot in it. I liked that his character. We get backstory on his character. I like the backstory of his character. One of the things that I really like about the Republic Commando novels, right? At the time those came out, we didn't have Clone Wars yet when the first book came out. And so we're getting some backstory on these Republic Commandos, and they're basically stormtroopers, And so it's like, we're getting to see, well, they're just people. And that's the thing with the Empire. Most of the people in the Empire, not the officers and stuff, but there were just soldiers who were probably drafted even. Right?
Well, maybe they were running away from a giant slug-like creature that they just stole something from, and they had to enlist really quickly, otherwise they were going to get captured.
That possible too. Maybe they had to join so they didn't get eaten by a Wookiee, right? So I like the idea of having former Imperial soldiers who have kind of mental battle scars.
Yeah,
and I liked it a lot. I liked his whole thing with the Operation Cinder and all that. And the Imperial commanding officer guy was really good. You're talking about having good Imperial officers. This was a real good classic Imperial officer. I felt
it was the guy who played the White Walker King on Game of Thrones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget the actor's name, but he's like a very intense actor.
Okay, this episode actually made me care for this character because I hated him in the first season. Well, I didn't hate him. I didn't really care for him.
Miggs Mayfield.
Yeah, I did not like him, and this made you actually kind of like him. Like that whole and what was up with those random pirates that were trying to blow up their ship?
I had problems with that too because it felt to me like it seemed to me like that was an act of people like rebels or something. It seemed like the planet's indigenous people were like trying to blow up these things. In which case you're like, oh, you should probably be on the side of those rebels. But then they called them pirates, which I wondered if they did that in like post-production or something, because I don't see why a pirate want to blow up a shipment of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I felt like they should have left it like that because at the end they very much, it feels like they're saying, no, the pirates are good. And that was the thing. It did feel exactly like indigenous people not, liking these people just, taking over their planet and fighting back. And then the Mandalorian has to kill some of them because he's got, ultimately his goal is to save Grogu, and everything else is going to, all other things, morality, everything is going to have to go to the side. That's why he's willing to break Mayfield out of prison. Mayfeld out of prison. Mayfeld's a bad guy. He doesn't and betrayed him. He doesn't like him, but he's going to do what he has to do to save Grogu. And so I like the idea of they should have left it more morally ambiguous instead of making it like, no, they're pirates.
Yeah,
but it could be just that the Empire calls them pirates.
That's true. Yeah, and they didn't address it. Maybe it's too complicated for the Mandalorian TV show. But I feel like a book like a Star Wars novel definitely would have gone into that moral conundrum. But again, we lost that sophistication.
Exactly. And it feels similar to in the first episode, we see the Tusken Raiders portrayed in a positive light for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Because the Tusken Raiders have always just been an almost racist, just bad natives that that attack you for no reason. And then in the first episode, it's like, no, I'm on the Tusken side. I agree with the Tuskens. What are all these humans doing on Tatooine? This is Tusken land.
Yeah, these are the native peoples, and you humans are there. You're not guests.
Right, and Mando speaks their language and is able to get along with them and everything. And I love that. That was one of my favorite things from the first episode. So I like the idea of coming back to that idea, and I felt like they could have done more of it. But they did some. They showed them rolling through the indigenous town and everyone like staring daggers at them and like
that was cool. And they're like, New Empire or Empire, New Republic. They don't care to these people. We're just invaders on their land. Like I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, I mean that's what they are. So it was a good. I thought it was a good way to put it.
Yeah, it doesn't detract from the episode, which I did enjoy a ton. So.
And I agree with you that it shouldn't have been pirates. It should. I mean, because it was they didn't call them pirates. It was the Imperials that called them. So that would make sense. The Imperials wouldn't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Say, hey, the natives here don't like us,
right?
Because they're the good guys. Like I mean, as you see later when you have like that whole scene when after they deliver the shipment, the one people that survive and that officer's talking, the slimy officer's talking to him. And he's like, the Empire will live. The Empire rises. People don't want freedom. They want control.
Yeah.
Man, that was a slimy, but it also felt very like, I'm like, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from, buddy.
It's a good one episode villain. Yeah. It was a good.
The only thing I didn't like was I felt like, in the first season, him taking off the helmet was this like real big deal. Yeah. And in this season, he's taking off the helmet left and right. And
he only does
you got to take it off to scan it. To scan your
besides
face.
Drinking.
Say what?
He only takes it off twice in this show or this season.
He took it off on when he met Boba Fett too.
Are you sure? I don't think he did.
I think so.
Maybe not. I feel like the first time we saw it was this episode because of Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I think it would have had more weight if he didn't take it off till the final scene of the final episode in this one.
I do agree. Yeah.
You got to get the actor want to get some credit for the show. People don't know who the hell he is.
I mean, I'm sure that's part of it.
I didn't recognize him in the new Wonder Woman until someone pointed out who it was. So I was like, oh, okay.
The best part of that movie is him. She's not saying much. I think.
No, that's not.
I really liked it a lot. I just watched it last night. But
oh boy, we're gonna get sidetracked.
That's why that could be a whole episode by itself someday.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, bring me back if you wanted someone to argue with about that.
Okay.
I actually really enjoyed. I cried during that movie.
I'll come on too.
Like, my 1 minute thing I want to say about the movie is that it's a movie that is not made like a comic book movie that we would expect in this era, and it's something completely different, and it's just a very different type movie, and it's not probably marketed toward the right audience. It's a romantic movie in a way.
I like that part of it.
Yes.
But all right, go back to what
it was the superhero stuff I didn't care for.
Yeah, there's not much of it. But so we were saying, like, this episode I thought was also like, I love when they're sitting at the table and they got the code, they just got to get out of here, and they're talking, and the guy's like, hey, remember Operation Cinder? He brings up Operation Cinder, and he's like, they tear to the Empire, boy, and I'm just like,
I felt the tension. I was like, oh no, this is about to go down.
Man,
yes,
it was like not going to sit here for this.
It was like what Inglourious Bastards. Yeah, I was trying to think of that. When they're in the diner with the Nazi officers, and he's like, "This is about to explode into violence." It's just
it's that tension building and building and building.
I love how, and I also love how the Empire guy is just so like he's so messed up in the head where he believes what he's saying. Like you can feel like he believes, like here's the Empire. What we're doing is right. We're saving these people, even though we murdered all of them. We're saving them. Like this whole
He's a true believer.
Yes.
Well, hey, I mean, we have seen in recent history that it doesn't take much to get people to follow the cult. Okay, it doesn't take much at all.
Very true.
Yeah.
I was always interested how 1930s Germany happened, and now I understand completely.
Now you know.
I understand.
And I also, as much, even though I'm not a big Cara Dune fan, I enjoyed her and Fennec like up on the ridge sniping.
It was cool. They were good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I might not be crazy about her off the camera antics, but on camera, she played the characters good.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool little thing of the two of them kind of like trading shots and stuff, and
it was
I liked this episode from beginning to end. It's so good.
Yeah, definitely one of the better, and like everything. I mean, you get to see Slave 1 be cool and rescue them. Like,
hell yeah,
it's like fun.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I felt was stupid, but I liked it at the same time, is at the end of this episode, because the whole point of them going to this this planet and going to this place is they're going to get the code so they can find Moff Gideon's cruiser and save the crew. And you have that part where this is not super part, but I should say where when they're on the ship leaving and Bill Barr ends up shooting and blows up the entire refinery. And I've been like, hey, some people got to sleep at night, and and then you have that. I like that part. They're like, well, prisoner X blah 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 died in the explosion, didn't he? Yeah, he did. And the guy just like, I can go, huh? Okay, I'll just go. And he just walks off.
Yeah, but then I was like, wait, this planet, like, does it even have ships?
I mean, I'm assuming wouldn't every planet almost have ships or something?
I guess.
Hopefully, they have like another spaceport somewhere.
Yeah, because otherwise they just like stranded him in a jungle.
Yeah, I mean,
on a planet full of indigenous people that want to kill Imperials that look a lot like him.
Yeah, but hey, he's free, right?
Yeah, I like that. I would have also been happy if he stuck around for the next episode, but I like that.
I mean, the next episode is all about girl power, though, too. So, which I felt after reading things online, and I'm okay with that. That was. Yeah. Okay, the dumb thing I want to say at the end of this episode, he calls Moff Gideon on his cell phone, where he sends the radio transmission through the little hologram. You have something that's very important to me, and you don't understand. Talking about the baby. I'm like, why would you tell him you're coming? Just leave it alone. I
don't know. It's very badass.
It is.
I'm not going to sneak in. I want you to know I'm coming.
I know. But I mean, he's still a sneak in. But still, I'm like, don't tell him. Don't warn him. Just go get him.
Yeah, it's almost the Liam Neeson I have a specific set of skills, kind of thing. Like he's just like, I'm not going to use element of surprise. I want you to know I'm coming and be afraid. I was fine with it. It's not maybe not realistic, but it was cool.
Yeah.
And then you get into the last episode, which is my favorite of this entire season.
It was a good one.
One, because as I've said, Boba Fett's my number 3 favorite character. My number 1 character showed up in this episode. So. That played a big part of it.
You're talking about Bib Fortuna, right?
Hey, I was happy to see Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna came back. It was the same actor, too.
I like Bib Fortuna in Return to Jedi. I remember loving Return to Jedi, but when I went to rewatch it during my Star Wars rewatches, I couldn't do it. So I don't think Return to Jedi holds up the way I remember it holding up as a kid.
Gosh. I love Return to Jedi. My second favorite Star Wars movie.
I disagree, Mike. I disagree.
I think I might have been like kind of burned out because I was watching. It was the last one I was watching after all of them.
That's your mistake.
So I think I never actually finished. I watched the part I cared about was Jabba's palace, and I turned off the movie. It was just.
I love Return to the Jedi.
I was just tired at that point.
Okay. I like Bib Fortuna.
Plus, I ran out of time. I was trying to watch everything before Rise of Skywalker. I went and saw Rise of Skywalker in theaters, and I just was done with Star Wars for the moment. So I think that was what it was.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. That could sour you on anything. Okay, so this episode is cool.
Yeah.
So the whole point is first they arrest, or not arrest, I shouldn't say arrest. First they capture the doctor from the season 1 that was working on the baby, and like I like that whole scene where they go and get his shuttlecraft, and the one pilot's like, "Hey, I'm good. You can have. I'm not with him." And then the guy just shoots him because when they board the ship and the Imperials realize they're not pirates, that they're actually more organized, and they know who the doctor is. He shoots the other guy and puts a gun up to the doctor and says, we'll kill you or whatever. And when he starts talking about Cara Dune and Alderaan, the rebels and everything, and she just shoots him in the face.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, I liked it.
Because he got what was coming.
No question.
And again, more real shady Imperials, and it makes sense because the Imperials that are still here at this point, they're more aware of what they're doing, and they know they're monsters kind of people at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, and then we get Katie Sakhoff again.
Right.
And I like that whole very tense bar scene with Fett and Fennec and Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorian woman.
I like when he's like, I got it from my father. Don't you mean your donor? I love that.
Damn.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening either. He's like, what? What's going on? Who cares?
Yeah.
I love all that. I just love all the little references to things in here.
Mm-hmm. And I think it makes sense that any Mandalorian would consider Boba Fett kill on sight, basically, because he's, even if you're not part of that cult that Jin Jardin was raised in, they don't like non-Mandalorians wearing the armor, you know?
Yeah, and he's not a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And he's not a good person either. Like, he's a bad freaking character.
Lots of the Mandalorians are bad people now, so.
Good point, but yeah, I don't know. I see him as a very bad guy.
But I thought that was cool, and they had the little bar fight and
that
together.
I didn't know that the other Mandalorian that's with Bo-Katan is a wrestler from I think WCW.
No,
she's a wrestler. I know that.
Mm.
I didn't know that. Is it WCW? I don't know the hell WWE. That's what it is. Sorry, WCW is an old thing. Oops. I'm not a wrestling fan.
Oh, I don't do wrestling. I don't know.
She's a wrestler.
Mercedes Vernado.
But all that was
WWE.
Okay, all that was
Sasha
really.
Banks.
Sorry. Oh, you're fine. We're giving finality to my messed up things I can't remember.
There you go. Well. Yeah, no, I liked her as the Koska.
And I was wondering what happened to the other guy, because when you first see them in episode 3, there's 3 of them,
right.
But the guy got killed off or disappeared or not with him for some reason.
Yeah.
Did they explain it?
Nope.
I didn't think they did. Yeah.
My assumption is that we want to do a girl power episode and we can't do it if he's here, so we're just going to not have him here.
Yeah, I guess.
That was my assumption.
Yeah. Same reason we got rid of Bill Burr. Probably.
Because then they get everyone together, then they go and the way that they raid the ship is awesome, where they took the Imperial shuttle and they're driving in with Slave 1 trying to destroy. Oh, I need to go. I forgot a comment I need to make. In the episode before, when they go to raid that refinery and they have to put on the Stormtrooper outfits, and Mando doesn't want to take off his helmet, and Bill Barr's like, I can't go alone, and Cara Dune can't go because they'll check her, and then he looks at Boba Fett, can't you go? And he said, they might recognize my face. And I cracked up so hard both times. I'm like,
I didn't even get it till just now. Yeah.
Because the other clones.
I was like, yeah, because Boba Fett would have a record. That makes sense.
Well, not that. No. The clones.
The clones. No, I know. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
It's a great...
The clones are out at this point in the canon. The clones are all long gone, but they would still recognize. I mean,
they would still recognize. Yeah, I know. People would recognize them. There were trillions of them. They'd recognize them.
I love that. He's like, they might recognize my face.
It's a double entendre.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't catch it at the time, but I liked it.
Okay, back to the last episode.
So yeah, they have the Lambda class shuttle, just like in Return of the Jedi, your favorite shuttle. And,
Return of the Jedi was my favorite for a long time.
Yeah, they had that's the class shuttle that that Han Solo and she's like tells Chewie, fly casual.
Yeah.
And I also like how the fact that I felt why they're being attacked by Slave 1, because they probably don't have clearance codes.
Right.
So they have to do it in a way that they're not getting attacked, because they're like, if they ask them for clearance codes, it's going to be like, what's your clearance codes? We got bad connection, sir. Just let us land. When
yeah.
Right. And then they're like, you need to clear the way so we can get these TIE fighters out. And then he just crashes it straight into the into their shuttle bay.
That was cool, though.
I liked it a lot. I thought that was really neat.
It's also badass when they get out and they just start gunning down they just start taking out everybody.
Yeah, because you expect, again, reference time, it's going to be like in A New Hope when the stormtroopers are going to come on board and then a helmet's going to go rolling down the ramp. And it's like, nope, we're just going to come out guns blazing.
I do love that scene.
I liked it. It was subverting expectations.
And right when they start landing, because their whole thing is that Mando has to slip away because he's like, activate the dark, because they don't have a lot of soldiers because it's, the Empire is kind of falling apart, but they have the dark troopers to make up for it. It's like, activate the dark troopers. And that whole scene where Mando sneaks off and he gets to the bay right when they're about to, they're activating, they're just about to come out, and he closes the bay door, and you just see the hands grab the door and push it open, and the dark trooper steps out. I was just like, oh, yes.
Yeah, and I like the whole... So I thought that it was a little silly. That's the Dark Troopers, we keep them at a low temperature for reasons. And so they'll have... It takes 3 minutes for them to start up. And all that. I was like, oh, okay, come on. I have a question about these because I was talking to my friends about it. So I assumed before this episode, and even during this episode for most of the episode, that the Dark Troopers were made out of Beskar. Because it's this shiny black metal, you shoot them over and over again and nothing happens. And so until the ending that we'll talk about later, I was like, oh, they're made out of Beskar. That's cool.
I mean, they could have been
the Imperials kill, Moff Gideon's guys killed a ton of of Mandalorians, they must have, it must have been to harvest the Beskar so they can make these things. That's really cool. And then it turns out they're definitely not made out of Beskar.
Well, it could have been like Beskar plated, maybe, because nothing destroys them but a lightsaber.
Okay, fair.
I mean, that's not how I took it.
Because we saw Ahsoka chop on Mando's arm on his little bracers that can't be more than like a 1/4 inch thick.
Okay, so maybe they're fake Beskar.
So.
How about that? Beskar, imitation Beskar.
I don't know. But I thought that the way they were shown and everything, I thought the show was implying from episode 6. I thought they were implying, these are Beskar droids. It's going to be really...
We even said that the Dark Troopers are what took Baby Yoda a couple episodes ago, the tragedy where you see Baby Yoda put the little shackles on him too. We didn't say that.
Yeah. But I like the Dark Troopers. I liked them.
Oh, they're excellent.
It turned it into kind of a monster movie because we finally have something that Mando can't just like beat down. Like these are stronger than him, faster than him. And just like him, he has like a superpower. He's like Superman, right? Like you have stormtroopers running around in their armor that is apparently completely and utterly useless. I don't know what stormtrooper armor is supposed to block. Paintballs, I guess. I don't know. But then Mando, the whole thing. When they meet one of the old clone troopers, he makes a comment about how they don't make the armor like they used to, and how it's flimsy and cheap. Because the idea is that the Empire didn't give a shit about their people, and it was cheaper to make this armor because they just conscripted people. They didn't give a shit. Yeah. I know. It's just it just has to do with the first Star Wars movie. They just wanted them to look cool.
Yeah.
But still, it's funny because Mando, so much of the show, he's a badass not just because he's cool, but also because he has magic armor that can't be broken. So there's so many times where he just stands there and gets shot, and it's just kind of like when someone shoots a gun at Superman kind of thing. And so to have somebody that can actually beat him down and that he's kind of afraid of, I thought was really good.
Hey, he earned that armor. He had to turn the baby in the first season, then take the baby back to get that armor.
That's true. And I like the idea that the thing that's like his nemesis, the thing that can actually like take him down and almost get him, is what orphaned him in the first place, right? It's droids. He hates droids because he was orphaned by droids as a kid, and now he's got to fight these like monstrous super droids to save a kid. I like that.
Yeah, that is a cool thing.
So I like the Beskar spear comes back also.
Yeah, that was cool to see him fight with the spear and use it, and like the whole that's why he takes out the Dark Troopers because he can't hurt it. He ends up shoving the spear through it, and that's what finishes it off.
Yeah, through like the neck joint.
And at the same time that he's fighting this thing, you can see them punching the glass, trying to break out, and then he jettisons them all into space. Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah, and when that happened, I was like, well, they're just going to fly back to the ship.
I didn't expect that. I thought, okay, that gets rid of them. I didn't think about they could fly through space, but
I thought that's going to get rid of them for Act 2. Act 3, they're going to fly back to the ship. That was what I thought. So it's.
And then he goes to the cell and he finds his Grogu, and that I like that with Gideon's like, oh, you can have him. I don't want him. Just leave me alone. Okay, and he just falls for it, and I'm okay with it.
Falls for it
because he's so focused on the kid and rescuing this like his child kind of at this moment, so he's not thinking straight. Like this guy's a mass murderer. He's not just, and he has a freaking lightsaber. He's not just gonna let me walk away.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
I know. I mean, does he know about the lights? He knows about the Darksaber, but does he know what it is yet?
I don't think he doesn't even know what Jedi are, so probably not. I mean, he thought one, he should know, but...
Yeah, but all he's heard is Bo-Katan told him he has a thing that I want. I don't think he actually has heard about the Darksaber specifically.
The Darksaber out when he comes in the room, I thought.
Well, right, but I mean until that point.
Yeah. Still, if I walk in the room and you're holding a giant glowing sword, I'm not going to walk too close to you.
Well, he's got the Beskar armor though, so
which proves it. I mean, it doesn't break it.
Beskar spear. So I actually was thinking because I didn't know about Darksaber from Clone Wars. I missed that episode. So when they were talking about the Darksaber, I was like, oh, it's like a lightsaber, but it can cut Beskar, I bet. And then it didn't. So
it is a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's just a lightsaber.
It's made by a Mandalorian who became a Jedi, who was like one of the early Jedi or early Mandalorian, something like that, and he was the king of Man. No, I looked it up later. Yeah. Okay. The Darksaber is also in Rebels too, so it does have a definite where things that were happening with it, and it contains another one of my favorite characters in Star Wars.
Yeah, I figured it was from Rebels.
Yeah. guys need to watch Rebels. And this show, I mean, I bet we're going to see Sabine next season at the rate this show is going. So
I thought oh, never mind. I thought she died.
If I remember correctly, she did not. But
okay.
I'm pretty sure she didn't. I'm pretty sure nobody. Well, okay.
Okay, nobody
died, but he had to die because he couldn't be in there because he had a lightsaber. So, you know, you can't really have Jedi in something that takes place right before New Hope with the same people. So,
right.
Might be an issue. Like, well, I'm a Jedi. Oh, we already got 2 of those over here in the back. We don't need you, Luke Skywalker. Put away that sword. Get away out of here. We got trained Jedi.
That's always kind of the problem with expanding the universe beyond, you know, a movie that was made as a spec script for Flash Gordon. You expand it too far and things start to fall apart a little bit.
You just have to do it in different time zones, different time histories. That's all.
Exactly.
You just don't want to be right before the movies happen.
Give me my Old Republic movie.
We'll never get in that. But
no,
I doubt it. But okay, the other thing about this episode, like, and after the Dark Troopers go out, we said that he fights Gideon. That's cool, and then he captures Gideon and he takes the Darksaber. And at the same time, the girl squad is killing everybody, and they get into the bridge looking for Moff Gideon. That scene when Mando walks into the bridge with carrying the Darksaber, and you just see her eyes go to it. Oh man, That was great.
Right, I thought we were about to get a whole other fight.
She wanted to, and he's like, "Here, I yield. It's yours." And I love how Gideon just starts laughing. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Gideon knows. I love it.
I mean, because she didn't defeat him in combat, and the whole thing about the Darksaber is about the story of the Darksaber and how you won it, and she didn't win it. So
I yield, and he's like, that doesn't work. That's not it.
I can't wait till we get more of that. What's going to happen with that thing?
Yeah,
in season 3.
I assume it's got to come back.
Yeah, and
I'm assuming. Yeah.
So Peter, the Darksaber wasn't any of the comics or anything, was it beforehand?
There was a book called Darksaber, but it was about something completely different.
I have that book. It's about they make a new Death Star.
Yeah.
Like 15 years after Return of the Jedi, that is just the laser chamber, so it's shaped like a lightsaber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the Hutts that did it, but it has nothing to do with this Darksaber, so it's completely new to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember exactly how Rebels ended. Because I'm looking at things and it's like, I'm seeing stuff and I can't remember any of it.
Yeah, well, I think you gave us the gist, though. You know, it's like the Mandalorian Force user King had it. And
but there's I don't remember where it is at the end, or who has it at the end of Rebels, because the character I think that has it doesn't have it apparently in this, because Moff Gideon has it, so it has me worried now.
I think the implication is that Moff Gideon killed that person and won it. Right?
Yes, I'm hoping it's not the case, but we'll find out eventually. I can't remember Rebels at all, and I watched it I watched it when I got Disney Plus, but I just can't remember it.
Yeah, it's in my queue. I'll get to it.
It's good. All right, and then like that, and when they get to the captain's quarters, you think everything's gonna, they're having that little debate, and that's when they see the Dark Troopers come back. Yeah. They fly right back in the ship, and I'm just like, oh, this is going to be glorious. And then, when Moff Gideon's like, you're all going to be dead in here except for me.
Yeah.
And, like, you had the whole buildup as the Dark Troopers are landing and coming. They lock the door. They're just waiting and waiting. And the Dark Troopers are just banging on the door. And all of a sudden, you see one X-Wing just fly in. They're like, one X-Wing. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's not that many people it could be. I'm like, it's not going to be Luke. They wouldn't put Luke. They're just going to be somebody else. I'm like,
Exactly what
I wondered that, but then as soon as I saw that green lightsaber come out, my only question at that point was, as he got closer to the bridge, I was like, are they going to do it CGI, or how are they going to do this? Or I was thinking, how good was it going to look? Is it going to be like Tarkin level, or is it going to be better?
Man, and then when I kept looking, I was looking at the hand. I'm like, looking at the hand. I see the glove, and I'm like, oh, it's the glove, the green. I'm like,
silver belt buckle.
I was so giddy during this episode because I had stayed spoiler free because I watched this like immediately in the morning on Friday.
Yeah. So
I was at work, and a friend and in my like group chat, a friend of mine's like, "Hey, I just watched the new Mandalorian. Don't get on the internet today." So I got home and I told my son, I was like, "All right, we're watching last episode of Mandalorian right now." As soon as I got home, so we could watch it. And when the X-wing flew in, I was just like you. I was like, "Well, the obvious thing would be for it to be Luke Skywalker, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. It's going to be Ahsoka. Ahsoka just has an X-wing for some reason." And we decided to bring back Ahsoka. And then, in the new Ahsoka series, it's going to be Ahsoka and Grogu for a while or something. And that's what I thought. And then, you see the green lightsaber. I go, oh my God, it is Luke. Question is, did they bring back Mark Hamill, or are we doing deep fakes?
Man, when he rips through those dark troopers, it is just glorious how he massacres them.
Yeah, and that was when I was like, oh, okay, I guess they're not made out of Beskar, because he is just chopping through them like they're made out of tinfoil. So,
and this is this version of Luke, like right after Return of the Jedi, or Return of the Jedi, the way he is in the black cloak, this is my favorite character in Star Wars. Probably my favorite.
Yeah, he's up there for me. I like the Luke because this is like 2 years before Thrawn trilogy timeline. So this is Luke, 2 or 3 years before. If you're going with the old non-canon stuff, this is Luke a couple of years before he founds the new Jedi Academy. It's the Luke that you meet in Jedi Outcast. It's kind of Luke at the height of his powers almost, or not quite the height, but getting there. This is Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. I love it.
So good.
I love it.
Oh man, and the thing that makes me so happy about this is now Dark Troopers are canon again.
There you go. That's true.
Thank you, Star Wars Dark Forces.
I mean, they started. I was always a big proponent of that, and now I've been proven right. That's cool.
Yeah, it makes complete and utter sense to have them. So I love it. I love it. I'm someone who doesn't like fan service a lot. But when they showed this, I was like, no, this is great. This is perfect. This is what it should have been. Bring back Luke for 3 minutes. That's great.
And that scene to me was just so good. But I was so happy. I have not smiled that much at a TV show in a long time.
Yeah, and I was fine with the way it looked. It didn't look amazing, but I thought it looked fine.
I thought it was a different actor at first.
I did too. Yeah, at first I thought it was a different actor. I know that Mark Hamill did the voice. I don't know if it's actually him physically or if they had someone else.
I'm sure it's someone. I mean, I'm sure they had a person there, but it must have been like a stunt person or something. That's what I imagine.
Yeah.
And then they just used his head, different head.
I think it's so cool that he was involved, though. Like, who would have thought?
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool they kept that a secret, and it's very rare for them to keep secrets or for them to stay secret. And it was a good. I'm sure fans around the world were squealing when that happened.
Yeah, so I looked it up. The guy that played him is Max Lloyd Jones, who was in he was in War for the Planet of the Apes as one of the apes, and that's his only other acting credit.
Interesting.
Well, it's not. That's the one he's known for. He's been in some other stuff.
Well, he's used to motion capture.
Yeah, he's been in video games too. So
he got to be one of the best characters ever. So hey,
yeah,
Mike's so jealous.
Had to be such an honor.
I was so happy. Like I was giddy. I was so giddy when I saw this episode. Like, oh man. And then the last Dark Trooper, he like force squishes him. I'm just like, oh man, that was great. Because also he's a Jedi, but he's not exactly like he's a little on the edge there sometimes. Like Luke is.
Yeah, I like him a lot, and I was really happy with that. That was a little fan service that I was fine with. I was happy to have.
Yeah, I was so glad they did that. And then Grogu, like when he wants Mando to take off his helmet so he can touch his face, which I'm like, okay, whatever. But the fact that like Luke then takes Grogu to train him at the academy that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, and then this begs the question: is he there when Kylo Ren kills everyone? Or has he graduated by the time Kylo Ren kills everyone at Luke's Academy?
Because this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and Force Awakens takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi?
30 years, yeah.
So you're 25 years, and it sounds like when Kylo Ren took place a year or two before Force Awakens.
Yep.
So you have plenty of time to get him out of there. And there is a comic series about Kylo Ren that takes place like how when he kills everyone at the academy, and Grogu wasn't in that comic because Grogu hadn't existed yet. So they're going to find some way to get Grogu out of there.
I'm sure.
Because he makes more money than Kylo Ren and anyone else does. So and it was so good. And I love that. Except I'm like, Grogu's going to come back, and the reason why this show works is because of Grogu.
Yeah. And it would be a mistake not to bring him back. if they're just gonna if season 3 is just gonna be more bounty hunter adventures, I think they're gonna have people lose interest. So
yeah,
they're gonna have to find.
There's a lot of people like me that want to just see the traveling samurai, kung fu.
Yeah.
David Carradine traveling the desert righting wrongs version of Mandalorian. But I think mostly to get the wide audience, you've got to bring Baby Yoda back at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to be first episode season 3.
Yeah.
And then so after that happens, the show ends, you get the credits, and you get a little stinger we should mention. I got more too. So
surprise.
You see,
surprise pilot.
I like how, because right before this happened, they announced all the Star Wars shows that are coming out. Like there's a ton of stuff coming, and there's nothing about Boba Fett. Not one word. They skipped that. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. Like I didn't think much about it, and all of a sudden, as you're watching this, you see Jabba's palace. I'm like, well, that's interesting. What's going on here?
Oh, I knew. I was like, ooh, he's coming.
And then you see somebody start getting, they get shot up. Somebody goes in there, and it's Fennec, and they come down. She rescues because of course there's a dancer again.
Yeah,
because why not? And like all that stuff that comes up, like you see Bib Fortuna, and that staff that Bib Fortuna is holding is from his original toy. I guess it came with the toy. For those that don't know,
yeah.
So it was a reference to the old toy that came out in the 70s.
Interesting. I did not know.
Whatever the hell Return Jedi comes out. Return Jedi 80s, isn't it? Early 80s.
83.
Yeah, that's what that's a reference to, because they had to say they didn't give a shit with those toys. They just threw whatever, and that's what that was. And I love how he's like Boba, I thought you were dead. He just shoots him. Like that's it. He just shoots him. Like I was like, wow, okay.
I liked Ming-Na Wen lets the dancer go.
Yeah,
I like that.
That was a good moment.
And she gets herself some blue liquor of some sort. Oh, is it Andorian brandy? That's what the blue stuff was, right, in Star Trek in the original series?
Romulan ale.
Romulan ale.
The Andorians were blue.
They have Andorian brandy also, but I think that's green.
Okay.
I don't know.
But I like that it just ends. He sits on the throne. She's drinking the alcohol, and it just starts playing the music on. And then it says "Book of Boba Fett coming 2021." I'm like, So, and I think some people thought.
I'm sorry. I wonder if we'll learn how to get out the Sarlacc. That's what
Me too. It's only going to be a 4-episode miniseries, they said, and my assumption is that it's going to be flashbacks off and on to the first episode, or the first episode will be how he came back, and then it will sum up his character, and then I think they'll be done with him for a while.
And I wanted to just real fast. I looked it up, and the new Star Wars, the sequel trilogy with Kylo Ren and all that, takes place about 30 years after.
Yeah, and so I mean, they're gonna. I want to say I like the sequel trilogy, but I like parts of it. But
I like, just like with the prequels, I think there's some things here and there in them that I like, but I don't like it overall. So, but
and we do have a lot of shows coming that I think Mandalorian's only going to go maybe 3 or 4 seasons, and they're going to wrap it up and do something else.
Yeah, I agree. I think 3 or 4 seasons max.
Because we're getting the Obi-Wan show, that's only going to be 1 season. I bet there's no way that's going to be 2.
Yeah, same thing at the Boba Fett.
Yeah,
and the Azoka. I don't know. You know what?
Azoka might keep going.
At this point, Disney just has all the money in the world, and they have their own distribution now. They can just do what they want with it, honestly. And we don't even know what the ratings are because it's there. We only know what they tell us.
Well, we do know Andor and Lando will both probably be, I'm assuming, 1 season. I think Ahsoka will keep going. I think Acolyte will keep going. I think Visions and Rangers of the New Republic, those will be the ones that keep going. Maybe Ahsoka might only be a couple seasons, but I think other stuff will keep going.
I'm looking forward to the Rogue Squadron one.
Oh, that's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie.
A movie.
Ooh.
By a director you really, really like. You just saw our movie a couple days ago.
I know. But I do like. I don't just because I didn't like her newest movie.
No, I know. I'm excited.
I liked her other one.
I'm really excited to see where they go with it.
It better be in the spirit of the books and stuff. We've got Imperial Base, got to blow it up.
Yes. I'm hoping that they base it off of the books at least loosely.
Yeah, because it's a good formula, and I think it's successful, and I think why not translate it?
I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm interested in the Boba Fett series. I'm actually wearing my Boba Fett shirt today. Y'all can't see it.
There's no camera.
Yeah, no camera, but I'm wearing my Boba Fett shirt for the recording. So, Boba Fett's one of my favorite characters since I was a kid too, and like I said, I love Ming-Na Wen, and it looks like she's going to stick around with it, which is cool.
I'm happy to see that too.
There's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone, so she's got a clear schedule. So
she's also going to be doing the voice for the Bad Batch cartoon, which is going to be the end of the Clone Wars.
Oh, cool.
She's going to be in that, so they're going to introduce her character earlier.
Yeah, so all they need now is they need to do like a animated adaptation of the Republic Commando series, and I'll be good.
I'd be excited for that too.
Yeah, give me my Republic Commando anime.
I think we should go to Shelf or Box. Or actually, at the time you're hearing this, it might be Shelf Stacker Box, because I'm thinking about changing it. But we're going to stick with the normal because I haven't officially done that yet.
All right.
So, but that's my plan at some point to do that. I said it here. By the time you're hearing this, it probably already has happened, but who knows? All right, and I'll go first. I think it's obvious. I'm going to put this on the shelf. I had a great time. I enjoyed myself more than I expected with this show. I watched it twice. And as soon as I got done watching it, I texted Peter and started putting together this episode. So that's how much I enjoyed this show. We never cover things that are new. It's just not what the show is. And I fell in love with because I saw Luke Skywalker kill Dark Troopers, and man, I'm happy. So it's going on the shelf. I recommend it, and definitely go watch it. And eventually you'll see there'll be a season 1 recap episode on this show someday. How about you, Pete?
Definitely put it on your shelf. I mean, it's eminently rewatchable. Got stuff in there for everyone. And if you like Star Wars, this is the best. This may be the best version of Star Wars that's been out since 1983. So,
man, Phantom Menace is a good movie, man.
All right,
So waiting for you to say that.
I love that. I like that movie actually.
We're just gonna have a 2-hour-long podcast where we rank the Star Wars movies, and then we're gonna have it. We're gonna go out there.
Well, I'm gonna do a Phantom Menace episode when I finish the MCU, which comes out. And if I
want to be on all these,
so you probably will. You can be if you want. It's coming at some point.
And then we're gonna rank Wonder Woman 1884 we're gonna put it in the Star Wars rankings and see where it falls.
Good movie. All right. How about you, Kerry?
Yeah, definitely shelf. I like season 1 a lot more than season 2, but I still love season 2. And I agree with Pete mostly. I would put Rogue One up there with Mandalorian, but otherwise I think this is the best Star Wars since 83. Solo has good stuff in it. Yeah.
Solo's a great movie.
I'm completely baffled by Mike's beliefs about Star Wars movies.
I'll tell you, Solo is in my top 7 Star Wars movies. So top 6 probably. I like it more than the sequels or the prequels.
Interesting.
I love Solo. I love Rogue One.
I love Rogue One. Rogue One is my favorite non-original trilogy movie, and I like The Mandalorian. Like I said, I like season 1 more because I like the wandering samurai style more, but I felt like you had some, like I said, the Believer is one of my, if it's not my favorite episode of the series, it's definitely my favorite of the season. I liked a lot of episodes in this a whole lot. And definitely shelf. I'm going to rewatch it when season 3 is coming. I'm going to rewatch the whole series ahead of time. So definitely shelf.
Okay. And that's about what I expected. With this, I knew we were all going to love this because what's not to love? I mean, when we talk about other Star Wars things, it might be a little different.
I have fellow Star Wars friends who didn't like season 2, and I think they would still put it above most Star Wars stuff, though.
Okay.
It's just maybe it was a little bit of a disappointment from season 1 if you liked the season 1 style, but it's still good.
And if you enjoyed this episode, we have lots of other Star Wars episodes. We did episode 87, Bounty Hunter, where Kerry was joined us. We did Knights of the Old Republic, episode 69. We did Shadows of the Empire, episode 48, with Peter.
Mm-hmm.
We did Star Wars Holiday Special on here back around that time.
Yeah.
I'll say that Shadows of the Empire episode is one of the first ones I listened to, and I love it.
Nice.
Peter was great.
Game.
Yeah.
Freaking game, too. I think I liked it. I can't remember anymore. The idea that I like it still.
I bought it on Steam for like $1.50.
Oh,
I haven't gone back and played it yet.
You might not want it. You might want to keep it.
It's a great game.
I loved it when I was 12 years old.
Same.
I think the same thing about Dark Forces, which is another Star Wars episode.
Episode 13 that you were on, too. Our first Star Wars thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was an early one.
Oh yeah. I listened to that one. Yeah, Dark Forces, with a mouse mod, so you can use mouse aiming, it holds up. I was just playing it a couple of months ago.
It's hard, though.
Yeah.
It is hard.
It's very hard.
I remember getting my ass handed to me and had to cheat. But that's not unusual with me. Wait. And then the other one we did is our most popular, most downloaded episode, Star Wars Republic Commando, episode 21.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, but people freaking have downloaded episodes so many times.
It's the best it's the best set of books, in my opinion. Of all the 38 I've read, those 5 Republic Commando books are the best ones.
Gotta check those out.
Yeah.
So definitely go listen to those. If you enjoyed this, you should definitely check out all the Star Wars stuff we've done, because we've done a lot of Star Wars stuff. Not as much as we probably will in the future, but we've done a lot.
And buy Peter's book.
Oh yeah, and if you guys, Peter, you want to give a shout out to your book again?
The Fifth Civilization is the first book. If you're buying them, start with that one, because the other ones may not make as much sense. But find it on Amazon, The Fifth Civilization. You won't regret it. It's fun.
And awesome. Kerry, you want to give a shout out to your YouTube channel again?
Twitch.tv/KerooXseta, KerooXseta. I'm maybe dropping the X as soon as Twitch will let me. I accidentally made 2 accounts, and I deleted the old one, but it's like it'll take 6 months before you can change the name. Like, God. But yeah, I'm trying to get to that affiliate status. It's a hard road, but I've been doing mods on there. I'm going to be recording one probably today or tomorrow, putting a new screen in a Game Boy Advance. So if you like that kind of stuff, or just watch me play Cyberpunk with my microphone off, come check it out.
Okay. Nice. Does Cyberpunk actually work?
I have it on Stadia, and I have experienced almost no bugs. I'm 25 hours in, and I think it's a good game. It's a solid 7 or 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
If the bugs aren't getting you. On Stadia, it's, I'm playing 1080p, 60 FPS, never slows down for a second. Looks like it's on ultra settings. So if you've got unlimited data and a high-speed internet plan, then Stadia, I'm sold on Stadia for games like that.
Hey, it's working better than it does for most things.
Yeah. That's the only way anyone I've ever heard of playing it on Stadia has not complained. It's everything else. You got to be playing on Google's, supercomputer, positronic network to play it without bugs, without too many bugs. I still have bugs. It's a broken game for sure.
And if you enjoyed this episode, definitely please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I need more subscribers on YouTube because I want to make my fucking custom URL, and I don't have it yet. Maybe when you're hearing this, I do have it, but I don't think so. So please follow us on YouTube if you listen to the show. And I want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bobby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney from ZB Bite the Bullet, Song of the Cool Kid Squad. And if you listen to the show, we do movies, we do comics, we do games, as you see, we do other Star Wars stuff. So definitely go check out all the other episodes we've done. We have done hundreds of episodes at this point that they're out there for you to listen to. So it'll keep you busy for a long time when the world finally wakes up again someday in 2021. Hopefully. Hopefully at some point we wake up this year and life goes normal again. But so thank you all for listening. Thank you, Kerry and Peter, for coming back for another Game My Mom Found episode.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for having me. Yeah,
something a little different that I've been trying to get off. Well, I was trying to get Mandalorian Season 1 off the ground for a really long time, and so I'm going to in the future. Some point this year, we're going to do Season 1. So I said on the air, people are still listening. All right, we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.